Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be talking about Doctor Who Flux, Episode 2, War of the Sontarans, written by the the enormously talented Chris Chibnall. I'm just kidding. But actually, this episode is actually pretty good. I gotta give him that. Definitely Jodie's best episode yet. Um, it's like right up there with like a Capaldi episode for me in terms of like quality, which is saying a lot because I'm a big fan of the Capaldi era. Um, so let's just start off getting into the episode. I think it was like much more focused than episode one. Well, episode one just threw a bunch of shit at you. Episode two was a lot more like focused on just a few things, which makes things a lot more easier to digest. So after the flux came in episode one, the Doctor, Don, and Yaz are transported to the Crimean whatever the fuck it's called rule. Now I did not know about this rule because I'm American. They didn't really teach us this stuff. Kind of similar to how a bunch of British people didn't know who Rosa Parks was. It's kind of like that. So they meet this woman named Mary Seacole, who was a doctor during this war, apparently. But Yaz and Dan aren't there that long because they're transported away, and the doctor doesn't know where they are, and she can't enter the TARDIS because the door's missing. It's like all four sides look the same now. I actually like that. It's a nice little mystery of like what's going on with the TARDIS. Kind of continues from the thread of episode one. And I'm wondering, like, is every episode gonna have something else that's weird with the TARDIS? We find out later, like, the TARDIS is like being messed with by the swarm, so that's probably it. But it's like, creates mystery. How are they doing this? Why are they doing this? Doctor Who, so when are they doing this? So the Doctor is chilling with Mary Seacole, and she realizes that the Flux has, like, changed human history and kind of, like, made this alternate reality where instead of the British fighting the Russians, they're now fighting the Sontarans. And China and the Russians are now Santal. Um, I mean, I don't know. It would be rules, though, the Chinese government or the Santalan government. That's kind of debatable, but this is not a political channel, so getting back to the episode itself. So, she tricks the Santalan scout to meet the general because she pretends like she's not the doctor. And she's like, I'll tell you who the doctor is if you let me meet the general. I like that because, like, it's nice seeing Jodie kind of like manipulating her enemies. We don't really see her do that often. Like, it's nice to see her make more of like a authoritative stance, like a little bit more of an authority figure. And we don't really see this doctor, do that often, so it's really nice to see that. And she finds out that before the Lipari sealed all from the flux, the Centaurans took advantage of all this chaos, and they rewrote human history to feed their species hunger for battle so they could take over the earth. They love fighting people. Speaking of the Centaurans, I think they were great in this episode. I really prefer the redesign in this than the Davies era Centaurans. They were a lot more similar to like the Time Royal era or the Centauran experiment stuff. And Lynx from the Time Royal actually gets name dropped, which is less than a reference for fans of that story. So Yaz is sent to this mysterious temple on this planet. The planet's called Time. And she meets the guy from Game of Thrones, Grey Worm from Game of Thrones. I think his name's Vindel. And they are like recruited to repair the temple's mainframe. And we find out that this place is like secretly like run by the Swarm. They arrive and they take control of the temple and they use the power for themselves. My favorite character, Don, is transported back to Liverpool, where some Talons have taken over the planet. And we meet his parents. It's always nice when we meet a companion's parents. And they are actually better utilized in this one episode than Yaz's family was in like all of their appearances in the last two seasons. Like his parents they actually contribute to the plot, which I would like to see Yaz's family do sometime later if they show up. I don't know if they do. So he learns that like there's this 3 minute blackout caused by the Lupari Shield that allowed the Suntown fleet to land at the Liverpool River or whatever. and that's where they're like operating. So they're operating out of Liverpool. Um, so he uses this like frying pan or wok, as the British people call it apparently. He sneaks onto the Sontaran ships, and he's able to contact the doctor. And sees like, okay, you gotta end the Sontaran offensive in the present day. And I think that's a lot to ask of him, because he's just some bloke from Liverpool. Uh, but I guess somebody has to do it. There's this one scene that doesn't make any sense where like Dan is being chased by this like group of 20 Sontarans, so he turns to this corner, and then there's only two for some reason. That's not that big of a thing. It's just like something I noticed that's a little weird. Like, what happened to the other ones? Do they not care about Dan? I don't know. But he's discovered by the Sontarans, and he's saved by Dogman. Dogman makes his entrance. It's really well played because we don't really see or hear about him throughout the entire episode. So we kind of forget about him, but then he comes right in the nick of time to save the day. And they destroy the fleet by ramming the vessel, and they evacuate at the last moment before it blows up. And in with Mary Seacole in the criminal role, they're able to poison the supply chains of the Sontarans, and she's able to cripple their offensive. And she regains access to the TARDIS, and she saves Dan and Yaz. There's also this like general guy who, the Sontarans killed all of his men, so he takes revenge by killing the Sontarans, and the Doctor's like, "You can't do that. Revenge is bad." And I mean, I could kind of see his point of view because the Sontarans did kill all of his people, so I think he was in the right in that situation. It's not like the Sontarans are like morally gray characters anyway. So, the TARDIS is like acting weird again. It's like all these weird spikes come out of it. And the Doctor and Dan arrive on the planet Time. And she gets to the temple and she meets the swarm. And they have captured Yaz and the guy from Game of Thrones. Uh, and they're like, we're gonna kill Yaz. We're gonna kill Yaz and use their bodies to pilot this thing, which controls the universe or whatever. And they're like, as soon as I snap my finger, they're gonna die. And then, and it ends. So honestly, I think this episode was way better than episode one. Episode one was good, but this is like, I feel like this was good. It's not like the best thing ever. It's like a C plus. I'd say like I reviewed Eccleston's era a lot this past few months. So I guess if I like had to pick an episode, it's like on the same level of quality rise, it would probably be like maybe the Unquiet Dead. It's like a good episode, but it's not like the best episode ever. So I give this a C plus. I think Jodie's Doctor is probably the best at her best. I like her when she's kind of like she's more clever. Like she tricked the Sontaran into thinking she's not the Doctor. So like stuff like that makes me enjoy her Doctor a lot more. I think Yaz and Dan were utilized well because they were split up from the Doctor. I think sometimes the companions work best when they're kind of on their own and they have to fend for self. I think the whole Yaz writing what would the Doctor do on a fan was a little bit like it was a little too ham-fisted. Like I think we could have caught on. She wanted to be like the Doctor without that. I think like they could have done that a little bit more subtly, but knowing Chris Chibnall, he's not the most subtle person. He's a very in your face with his message. But if I was him, or if he was me, I would have, maybe just had to like pass through like a little line of dialogue, like what would the Doctor do, not just have it on a fucking hand. But that's just me. But I don't want to bash on this episode. I think it was perfectly fine. Probably the best thing we've seen since Twice Upon a Time 4 years ago. So it's nice to have a good season again. Like I said, like we haven't had a good season of Doctor Who in 4 years. I was still in eighth grade, I think. So, you know, it's nice. It's really nice. What did you guys think of War of the Sontarans? Let me know down in the comments. And how do you think Yaz and the guy from Game of Thrones are going to get out of this situation? I guess we'll find out. Peace.